The Sunset Strip Diaries, Chapter 14, The Embarrassingly Drunken Spectacle. I had been cruising with the in crowd for a year or so when I ran into a snafu. I had let my guard down thinking that I would always have that spot with the cool kids. But as anyone who has attended middle school knows, the kids at the top of the ladder are on a very shaky ladder, and in this particular instance, a stroke of luck saved me from losing all of my friends to my ex-boyfriend of another scene. Out of nowhere, I heard that Sunny from Swingin' Thing was interested in me. I started jumping around in my house in my old, shredded-up Maui and Sons t-shirt and men's boxers. I'm pretty sure I did the maniac dance from Flashdance and possibly the robot. I was happy for two reasons. One, his band was one of the most popular of our crowd, and his social standing would improve my social status. I thought, try going against me now, bitches! Two, Sonny was another one of the guys I had drooled over in magazines before I got to Hollywood. By that time, I was partying alongside him nearly every weekend, but I never let on to anybody that I had a huge crush on him. I had to keep it cool, not be a groupie and shit. Those girls weren't invited into the inner circle, and that's where I was determined to stay. Sonny had blue eyes, long black hair, and sometimes wore a red hat. He was of average height and build, but on the skinny side, of course. We started talking on the phone, and he was actually a genuinely nice guy. He was upbeat and happy. He had no attitude or ego whatsoever. He was always laughing and joking around, no game playing, no sneakiness, totally solid guy. We dated a little bit and started getting to know each other. I was like, shoot, this guy's actually really cool. Things were going great, and I was stunned at my good luck. I would have dated him even if he were a jerk, but he happened to be awesome. There was a big-ass party going on one night, and I brought my sister and her friend Lainey. The whole Hollywood crowd was there around a big lit-up blue pool. Sorry guys. Toward the end of the party, Raz showed up with Jimmy. I rolled my eyes and wanted to get the hell out of there. When I was leaving, I went to hug Sunny goodbye, and the following events occurred. July 12th, 1992, journal entry. I hugged Sunny goodbye at the party this past weekend, and all hell broke loose. Jimmy tried to swing at him. Sunny dropped his beer, put out his hands, and said, "Let's go!" which was hot because half the guys in that crowd are complete wimps. Swingin' Thing has a roadie named Ronnie, who kind of doubles as their bodyguard. He's a total badass. He could easily take on 2 or 3 guys, no problem. Well, he removed Sunny from the situation, stepped in himself, and beat the living shit out of Jimmy. It was terrible. I didn't know what to do. I couldn't watch. I didn't try to stop him. Maybe I should have. I grabbed my sister and her friend and told them we had to leave right away. On the way out, I heard someone say, "Someone tried to fuck with Sunny," and a bunch of guys started to run toward him. Jimmy got jumped by at least 10 guys. It was horrible. It was just a big mess of bodies in the dark. Cops arrived shortly thereafter with lights flashing, trying to find out what was going on. Talking to the wrong people. There were probably 200 people at that party. It was crazy. It was pitch black and a warm breeze was blowing. I saw Johnny Valentine from the Brats holding Jimmy's neck. He had him pinned against a car. He wasn't hitting him, he was just talking to him, trying to calm him down. And he kept pushing Jimmy's head back down to the car each time he got loud. There were people yelling and running back to their cars in front of the blue and red flashes of lights. I turned to my sister and I said, "Did all of that happen because of me?" "Yep." I heard Raz's voice in the dark. He told me to come over to his car. When I did, he started scolding me. "If you wouldn't have talked to Sunny, none of that would have happened. You were egging him on." "Are you kidding me? That was not my fault," I said. "And by the way, I've known you way longer than Jimmy, and I can't believe you're defending him. I was just hugging some guy." So what? You know how he is. You didn't have to throw it in his face. Then Jimmy yelled my name. I turned around and saw that his face was dripping with blood. He said, "Are you happy now?" Started screaming at me, telling me he would kill all these guys, he had a gun, he was going to use it, blah, blah, blah. After he got beat up in front of everybody who was anybody, things started happening just as I thought they would. I sat back like J.R. Ewing, put my feet up on a desk, filed my nails, drank a scotch. All of the guys started making fun of Michael for hanging out with Jimmy. They were like, "This Jimmy guy, isn't he your friend?" And Michael was like, no, trying to make excuses. He knew better than to risk his social standing. He said, Jimmy's my friend and everything, but bros are bros, and I'm down with them. I was not surprised. Michael only cared about popularity, and he dropped Jimmy very quickly. I laid down on my bed under my Marilyn Monroe poster at my mother's, and I knew that Raz would be calling. 3, 2, 1, and the phone rang just as I thought it would. Raz was on the other end telling me that I took it wrong when he was defending Jimmy and he was just drunk. I let him talk for a minute and I painted my nails with gold glitter. When he was done, I started yelling at him and told him I was never going to speak to him again and he was lucky he had called. He said it was a misunderstanding. I thought he was full of shit, but I let it go. I slammed down the phone and put on a 1940s kimono and some marabou slippers and made my way into the kitchen to eat some Fruity Pebbles. It was about that time that I started hanging out around another dancer named Natalie, who was a coworker of Colette's. They both worked at a strip club called Fritz. Natalie hung out with our crowd from time to time, and after seeing each other around for a few years, we became friends. Natalie was impressed I was dating Sonny, and I wasn't sure if that's why she was hanging around me more than before, but I didn't care. I needed her place to crash when I was in Hollywood. She lived on Poinsettia near Rock and Roll Ralph's. She could use me if she wanted. I considered the trade a fair one, and she very often pumped my ego when I was with her by saying things like, "Sonny calls you? You're on his personal guest list?" I could tell she liked him herself. She didn't hide it very well. She was originally from Indiana and had shoulder-length blonde hair. I could tell she was a brunette underneath because she always had roots. She was one of the most unlikely candidates for a dancer that I had ever seen. Her clothes were pretty conservative and she was not at all flashy. She was also really self-conscious, sometimes a little shy. She was always worried about something or complaining. Dancers never worried about shit, in my opinion. In my experience, so this was a first. Regardless, I liked her and she amused me. One night, Swingin' Thing played a show with Big Bang Babies and I wrote the following. Journal entry, July 18th, 1992. They stamped my hand to go inside the club and Natalie said, "There must be some mistake. I must be on the list too." But she wasn't. Then some backer for Big Bang Babies named Jennifer paid for every single person outside to get in. Bertie Montgomery was in the bathroom sobbing because a bunch of the Seattle girls jumped her. I knew that would happen eventually. I saw Leslie and I let him drive my car to a party. He was running red lights, so I punched him in the mouth. Everybody was smashing the windows out of the house at the party. Natalie's a closet speed addict and suspects everyone walking the streets of doing it too. I went to a party with her last night and all the new grunge bands were there. Primus, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, not that they're new, but they're new to me. I'm ignorant to all of them, even though they're the new thing and they're doing well. We were chuckling about how out of touch we were, not even knowing who these people were and how we only hung out with outdated scumbags wearing tons of makeup. These people were talking about flying private jets to places to do their next videos, and our friends were playing the coconut teaser. We thanked our stars that we didn't bring Michael and Strange with us because they would have embarrassed us. Actually, the guys there were pretty juvenile, believe it or not. They were not very mature. My wacky friends have better manners than those dudes did. Journal entry, July 26, 1992. Okay, are you ready for this? Sonny managed to make us a couple in a total of 24 hours. Word must have gotten out because Jimmy just called here and asked me to marry him. He said he'll get a job and he'll quit partying. Leslie called 10 minutes before that. He said he couldn't talk to me anymore because he really likes me, and I don't even care about it, and I never invite him anywhere, and he wants to be with me all the time. He says he's going to stop talking to me completely so he won't feel hurt anymore. What do you say to something like that? Anyway, I went to Newport Beach with Sonny in the day, and at night we went to a party in Hollywood. When I got there, he introduced me to his entire band, and the singer said, "So you're the one he's been talking about." Sonny said he didn't want me hitting on any guys, and he wanted to let me know where he stood. I couldn't believe it. None of these guys have made any serious move like that with me, especially not somebody as popular as him. One of his friends said, "He never goes out with anybody. You are really special." He called me his woman and all this stuff. He totally made me his property by the end of the night. I was on top. I got where I wanted to be. In high school, I dreamed of this guy, looked at his face in my classes, dreamt of going to Hollywood just to see him from afar, and there I was, his girlfriend. For all of 1 hour. It was going so fast that I got nervous, really nervous. I started drinking very heavily. I went into the bathroom with one of the Beach Bunny Barbies they hang out with. I don't know what I said to her. I just remember her backing up against the wall with her eyeballs popping out. And then she got out of the bathroom and ran. Did I say I was going to hack her to pieces? I still don't know what I said. And if that wasn't enough, I proceeded to do cartwheels in the street in front of everybody. There were tons of cool people standing around watching another girl who was all graceful, doing cool walkovers and slinky stage moves. I stumbled over, all clunky and belligerent. I tried to do a straddle roll on the front lawn. I got stuck with my legs over my head in front of all of Swingin' Thing. I was a total spectacle. I can't believe I did that only hours after Sonny said I was his woman, and it didn't stop there. I had to cement the deal. In front of everyone, I proceeded to fall backwards over a counter, crash into a sliding glass door, land on the ground, and pass out. I woke up with a swollen eye, a fat lip, 2 skinned knees, a cigarette burn, and one of my legs popped out of my hip bone. I had to jerk my leg really hard to get it to pop back into place. I think that hip is still messed up today, you guys, actually. I looked down at a huge crooked tooth mark on my boob, and I remembered that Strange bit me. I remember slapping him across the face. And then he tackled me and tried to beat the crap out of me, and Michael pleaded with him, "What are you doing? She's our little sister, bro." I pointed to the bathroom and I made him go in, and then I lectured him in there, and he apologized. Anyway, I can't believe I screwed up my chance at being Hollywood royalty. I'm so embarrassed for acting like such a fool. I cried about it to Michael the next night while we sat on the curb swigging beer. He said, "I know you're on Heartbreak Boulevard and everything, but at least they're talking, you know what I mean? If they don't talk about you, then you're nobody. At least you got people talking." Michael may have been a drunken glam rocker wearing leggings and eyeliner, but he had the sense to quote friggin' Oscar Wilde. It made me feel a teensy bit better. I tried to tell myself it was true. Yeah, I was a big name. If people were talking about me, it was because I was interesting and cool and gossip-worthy. Then I had a little flashback of seeing the room upside down when I flipped over that counter backwards in front of the whole party, and I winced. Oh, I really liked Sonny. I thought he was funny, cool, and respectful, and it didn't hurt that he had status. He was a nice, genuine guy. Well, except for when he told me my perfume smelled like carpet freshener. That was sort of messed up. And that time at the beach when he told me I had sand in my nostrils in front of everybody. Well, other than that, he was honestly a nice guy. I was so upset with myself for behaving so poorly that I cried and cried. I listened to a tape that he and I listened to together. Mother's Milk by the Red Hot Chili Peppers, repeatedly in my car. It pained my heart to hear Subway to Venus. Oh, I took it out of that stereo while I was driving and threw it out the window on Ventura Boulevard. It was all quite dramatic. Sonny backed off from me after that night. He stopped calling. I was a wreck. A very long week passed where I cried in my blankies and I blew my nose on my Hanoi Rocks t-shirt sleeve. Then he called again. He wanted to know what I was doing that night. I launched out of my bed and I jumped straight into the shower. We agreed to hang over at Natalie's, which was down the street from him. Do you think I rectified everything? Of course not. This is me we're talking about. I got really nervous and, long drum roll, started drinking. August 1st, 1992. Natalie said I told Sonny off at the top of my lungs for a half hour last night. I was over there drinking a bottle of Night Train, and I completely blacked out again, and I remember none of it. She said I kept going into the bathroom, and she was sure I did a line of Speed. I said, no, I could not have. I've never done any drugs. I still don't know if I did it, but I have a feeling she gave it to me to sober me up from that Night Train. One of them did. I don't know what happened. Sonny told me later that I was talking about my father and my family. I wonder what I said. Why did my mind go there? Worse than that, I do feel like I'm on something. I have never done drugs, so I don't know what to compare it to, but when I wet my face to wash it this morning, it felt like somebody punched me in the nose. And I haven't eaten or slept, and I couldn't drink last night, but I felt on something anyway. And I was as paranoid as Natalie, who is on drugs. We went to Denny's at 9 in the morning, and she doesn't even remember it. We went to the store later on, and the only things in our basket were milk, gum, and Jim Beam. Neither of us wanted to hold the basket. We were trying to make each other hold it. Natalie had to drink half the bottle of whiskey and do a line just to go on a date the other night. She kept saying things like, am I talking too much? I need a drink to be a little mellower, or am I acting drunk? Am I babbling? Oh, I need to do a line to be more normal. Or, do you think I'm acting paranoid? Should I have a drink? Sometimes she gets paranoid that something else is in the drugs. I hope there wasn't any heroin in that stuff because I'm allergic to it. Natalie says she's studying medicine. She says she wants to go back to college for it, but all she really does is sit around and look up pills in her pill book, which I have seen at Save-On right next to the romance novels. She's always sick, bruised up, depressed, and whining. I have stayed there for days at a time, drunk, just laying on her floor, never anything in that fridge but butter and wine. She's so paranoid about her health that she is on antibiotics for her ears being plugged, painkillers for her hurting back, and Valium to sleep amongst all the other shit. She's always making doctor's appointments and claims everyone from her landlord to the clerk at the music store is on drugs. Look at that guy banging the soda machine. He is on drugs. Look at him. Today she called and said she'd been up for 12 hours throwing up from bad tuna salad. She exaggerates like crazy, 12 hours, and she really cares what everybody else thinks of her, which is not common, again, for most dancers I know. I can't picture her in her sequined neon green bikini, or not in it, on a stage stripping. I can't picture her giving table dances and asking for tips. But she does. She's the only stripper I know without a bubbly, confident nature. She's pale and she wears red lipstick. She looks very different from the other girls. I guess it's proof that guys like all different types. You know what? This might sound naive, but I didn't realize that many of the people I have been hanging out with have turned into drug addicts. I thought we were all just drinking. Now it's hitting me. They don't eat, but they always make conversation about some big meal they just had. They have all been cutting back on booze, and they're just kind of holding the same drink all night. That's why Michael, Strange, and I stand out as being belligerent. We're probably the only people not on drugs right now. Natalie couldn't sleep because of the speed and had to do shots of Jim Beam. And I just found out that Colette is a heroin addict. I didn't even put two and two together when she was falling asleep in mid-conversation. I remember one night she was trying to show me how to get to a party, and she kept falling asleep, and then I passed the place. She woke up and said, "Oh, sorry, make a U-turn. It was right back there." I turned around, started driving, looked over. Asleep again. Must have passed the place 3 different times. I guess I should tell you how I was picked out of the crowd at Bar 1 the second I walked up, and how I immediately bypassed all of the people who were not cool looking enough to get in. Then, when I got up to the front, I was on a guest list, waltzed right in, and sat with some big shot named Rich Ross. He gave my friend Sarah, a girl I met in summer school a few years ago, and me, free drinks. I danced with Brian Austin Green from 90210, and Sarah was feeling left out because Rich was telling me what an asset I was and that I should come every week. She felt better when she met Rick James later that night. She was flirting with him and gave him her number. I don't know what's wrong with her. Anyway, none of it matters because I was an idiot and I spoiled my chance with Sunny. Journal entry, August 5th, 1992. I am coming off whatever I did. I'm feeling all psycho over Sunny. Can't stop crying, depressed and obsessive, can't get out of bed, lost 5 pounds from not eating for 5 days. Note to self, don't eat for 10 more days. I don't even know what to say. I've been lying in this bed since I woke up and it's 10 at night now. I tried eating dinner with my mother and my sister, but I started crying when I saw my potato. It got so bad that I had to excuse myself. They just kept eating and ignored me. He hasn't called, and it's entirely my fault for acting so idiotic. And to top it off, I saw Jimmy and Robbie Black hanging out at a cat house party. Ugh, I don't even care. Tweety and I got into an argument about who was more stuck up than whom. Apparently, I act like I should be playing polo in the Hamptons, apparently. But I didn't care about that either. I just want Sunny to call. I really did like him, and I can't believe I blew it. Journal entry, August 10th, 1992. I was supposed to hang out with Sunny the other night, but he flaked. He ended up leaving a message on my mom's answering machine at 4 a.m., which is, of course, too late to be answering a call from a guy. I saw him out the next night and did a great job of hiding my obsession. He asked what happened the other night, and I coolly said, "Well, I went my way and you went your way and we lost each other." And I smiled. We were all sitting in the dark by the empty swimming pool of Errol Flynn's burned-down estate in Runyon Canyon, passing around the usual bottle of Jim Beam, and I don't even know why we call it Errol Flynn's. I think Errol Flynn only stayed in the pool house at that damn place. Jamie Scrapp, Mandy, Boa, and a bunch of others were there. I looked toward the gate at the top of Fuller Street, and a bunch of girls I knew were climbing up over the fence via a winding tree that I can expertly climb in tiny outfits, by the way. Chrissy, Emmy, Stephanie, Dina, Amy, Sandy, Nicole, and Chantel. Some gang showed up and said we were on their turf and told us to leave. None of us wanted to get shot, so we took off, stumbling over elderberry bushes. As we were leaving, the cops showed up and busted Natalie for carrying a bottle of booze. They eventually let her go, and then she and I went back to her place to dance to the Ghetto Boys in our underwear. She said, "You had Sunny hooked before you started yelling at him." I haven't been with a guy this entire summer. I've got to be careful who I let near me right now because everybody knows each other. I've got to watch out and try to play this thing right. Journal entry, August 16th, 1992. Wow, I shouldn't have written that shit. Bang raped me last night. Yes, raped me. I woke up in the middle of the act. He was on top of me. We were on the floor of some room next to a pile of dirty laundry. He is not somebody I'm attracted to, so I don't know how I could have been in that situation. I was clearly too drunk to make any decisions, and he was fine with that. I was puking up blood on the way home from drinking too much. In the beginning of the night, he was kind of forcefully pulling me around with him, and I just let him. Not good. Then I remember he wanted to drive in my car with me. I felt cool that he singled me out, so I let him. The rest? My own fault for being so dumb. I have to wipe it out of my mind. I am not going to think about this. The next day. Bang called here today. He apologized. Instead of just accepting it or maybe even telling him off, I said I shouldn't have been that drunk around him, and I added that I didn't sleep with the guys in Hollywood, and he said, "I know, that's why I'm calling." He didn't try to blame me or anything like I thought he would. He was all quiet and said he wasn't drinking the rest of the week. Oh wow, a whole week. I was happy not to have been roughed up, though, because he has knocked out 2 girls I know personally. Knocked them out cold just for being annoying. I'm glad he feels like shit. There's nothing I can do now except for move on. I woke up about 2:30 or 3 this afternoon. I was dreaming about tripping on stairs, being in a nightclub, and stealing a big box of bright pink Hubba Bubba gum. I was in some spacey store with my dad, and he was borrowing all of my money and then buying me all of this fun stuff with it, like cherry Slurpees. He was buying other people presents with my money. Sorry, guys. One time, he did do something similar. He took my sister and me on a huge shopping spree at like Sears or somewhere, where the stuff basically sucked, but we were allowed to buy whatever we wanted. I remember buying a red bra, some perfume, and a few other things. We thought it was strange, but who were we to question a free shopping trip? Well, it turned out that he stole the card from someone he knew, charged all of that shit on it, and left them with the bill. Another time, he brought Karen and me to this huge mansion and said we could stay there and do whatever we wanted. Eat the stuff in the fridge, watch TV, whatever. So we made ourselves at home. We turned on Yo MTV Raps, started baking something in the oven, and basically trashed the place. Then we heard a key in the door and some women's voices. We looked at each other, jumped up, and ran. Karen hid in a closet or something, and I ran into the bathroom and locked the door. I stripped off all my clothes in a panic. Don't ask me why I thought that would be a good idea. I think I thought I was going to pretend I was taking a shower. But then I decided to wrap myself in a towel. I know I was an idiot, and face the music. Karen and I eventually came out because they were about to call the cops. A nicely dressed woman and her adult daughter were standing there staring at us and had no idea who we were. I think one of them knew my dad in some way. She probably was sleeping with him or something. Regardless, they sure as hell didn't know who we were. And worse, they did not authorize us to stay in their house. Oh, I probably had that dream because I visited my dad last night. I asked for some money for school. He gave me $1.06. He owes a few years of child support for my sister and me, and the law is after him for various other reasons like tax evasion, a couple of warrants. He's living with a lady named Deborah, who was a former disc jockey for KHJ. August 19th, 1992, journal entry. I visited Natalie last night. She had all of her medical books spread around her. It looked like she set them up as props. We watched a little bit of Miss Nude USA, and she commented on each girl. "Oh, this can't be in LA. The stage is way too nice." "Oh, these girls can't be from Hollywood." "Oh, this girl could. She's got the LA attitude and stuff, the way she dances and her face." She laughed and talked about how quiet she was and how nobody wanted her because of it. Then the building caught fire, and we had to go. In a half hour, I have to get ready to go to Bar 1. A lot of stars hang out there when they're in LA. This company called WC Productions always puts me on a guest list and asks me to bring really pretty girls. Once I'm there, I usually go sit with that guy, Rich Ross, who owns the company or something. He looks like Andy Gibb in running shorts and a tank top, no matter the weather. That is an LA thing. He examines the girls I bring, nods, and then tells us to order whatever we want. His secretary calls me sometimes and puts him through. He says things like, "You are fantabulous," or "You're a bombshell." Tonight I'm bringing Birdie, even though she's only newly 16. They will let her in because of her looks. Her age will not matter. She's been wearing fake eyelashes like me and the same types of clothes. She's stealing my look, but oh well. The only thing I can do is go with it. She looks very exotic and smells like some sort of spice or cinnamon. It's some kind of Chanel perfume that she spritzes all over herself until we're both choking. She's super spoiled and has a ton of nice clothes and calls her dad Daddy. To watch her is kind of like looking at a rare species of some sort of animal. She's so pretty that people drop things when she walks by. The other night we went to the Rainbow to eat mozzarella sticks and pizza. That is one thing I really like about Birdie. She loves to eat. She orders extra cheese on everything. Anyway, Axl Rose was there eating by himself in the booth next to us, with two huge bodyguards standing in front of him. No one was even trying to talk to him. He was a little overzealous with those guards. Journal entry, August 22nd, 1992. I bleached Natalie's roots at 2 in the morning while we watched Goodfellas. She made me turn it off because the violence was giving her an anxiety attack. She now works at some place called Venus Fair off Lancashire. She dances in this booth while guys put money through slots. She says there's a lot of flashing lights and mirrors, so she doesn't even know who's looking at her. She can't see them. They can only see her. Speaking of jobs, I got a job on Melrose today. I met some old guy at Bar 1, and he wanted me to work at his clothing store. School starts tomorrow. It's 2 in the morning, and I can't sleep. Okay, now it's 3 in the morning. I'm laying here listening to Van Halen, and my boobs are swollen, and they hurt. It's hard to be around the people and the places I am. I'm starting to sweat. I need to have a normal life. I need to try and be normal, study, do homework, go on diets, go to keg parties, tan at Zuma 6, dance at Florentine Gardens. I need to try and be normal so I can live in this society. I'm starting to get obsessed with the past. All night I've been listening to these cassette tapes we recorded as kids. Tapes of Karen and Becky and me messing around. They're kind of like time capsules. I used to hold my tape recorder up to the TV and record commercials and theme songs from TV shows like The Cosby Show. I recorded music off the radio, complete with the DJ Rick Dees talking over the beginning of the songs. I recorded a lot of shit. I wish it were more. I'm so glad I have all of the music from those days on these tapes. But they're making me obsessed. I mean, was that really me? I feel like I'm a completely different person from that girl. Where did she go? I want to be normal. I want to fall asleep at night. I don't want to be afraid to die, and I want to hang around regular people. I don't want to be so calculated and always try to be in the right place at the right time. And I don't want to be attracted to such losers. Journal entry, August 27th, 1992. I haven't been to sleep yet, and I have class at 9 a.m. I'm going to have to go straight to school without sleeping. Jimmy tried to hang himself from his chandelier last night, and it smashed to the ground. Then he tried to hang himself with a phone cord, and it broke, dropping him into the smashed glass. I haven't slept since Tuesday night, and now it's Thursday evening, and I'm not tired. You would think I was on drugs, but no. My sister is, though. She's doing speed. I heard her whispering about it to her druggy friend last night. I heard the whole thing. I was steaming mad. She's a closet case. I heard her say how cool it was and that she was putting money aside for it every week, and she liked the fact that you didn't come off it hard. Natalie is right. Everyone is on drugs. Journal entry, August 30th, 1992. My job at the clothing store is really cool. It's next door to Johnny Rockets and War Babies, and across the street from Bleecker Bob's. Melrose is hot right now. There's even a new show after 90210 called Melrose Place. Yesterday, I sold jeans to one of the girls from Wilson Phillips, daughter of Beach Boy Brian Wilson, more importantly, and she was wearing this loose crocheted top with no bra, and her tit fell out. Everybody was looking, and I couldn't keep talking to her with her entire nipple showing, so I told her. It was so embarrassing. It wasn't Carney, it was Wendy. The manager, Rico, is a female impersonator who impersonates Cher on the weekends. He's always checking out guys, and he's really funny. He sits on my lap and plays with my hair. He saw all these mannequins across the street that he wanted, and he wiggled over there to try to get one to, quote-unquote, bring home and screw. What's he going to do, drill a hole in the thing? The guy next door likes him, and Rico is not interested because he says the guy doesn't know how to dress and is clumsy. Last night, Bertie and I went to see the Zeros. We showed up in platform shoes, pale pink lipstick, little clothes, and long straightened hair. Right when Bertie got to the very top of the stairs at the Coconut Teaser, the top of her shoe which was strapped to her ankle, separated from the bottom of its 4-inch platform. She rolled down the stairs screaming, and everything flew out of her purse and all over the place. After the show, everybody went to a party at the Hyatt on Sunset. Led Zeppelin used to party there. That was being thrown by a rich, overweight girl. It lasted about 10 minutes. I managed to have one screwdriver was strange, and we all were thrown out. So we ended up crowded around the outside of the Hyatt. Someone was trying to dance with me, Strange spilled his drink, or we tried jaywalking across Sunset in those shoes. Some guy I never met from the Seattle crowd tried to grab my bottle of Jim Beam, and I clamped onto it. I actually paid for the bottle myself for once, so I told him to ask first. He nearly threw me halfway across the road. Some girl said, "Watch out, he's really mean, he'll hit you." I let go of the bottle after my finger started bleeding because he pinched it so hard. He said in an angry voice, "How does it feel to know everybody wants to fuck you?" I just looked at him and said, "I don't know." Someone else in the Seattle crowd told me my nose was so far in the air they could ski down it. Then Strange started jumping on these chain link fences laid over huge ditches in the ground, and he nearly fell in. I went over there to stop him, and we ended up wrestling on the hood of a car. I don't know what's gotten into me. Then we got into Birdie's car. She just learned how to drive. She was swerving everywhere. She has a major crush on this guy named Frankie from Boston. She got him into her car to bring him to go hang out with her at her parents' place, even though he insisted he just wanted to go home. "You don't have a home, Frankie," she reminded him. He kept trying to open the car doors and jump out. She was yelling, "You should be happy that you're in the car with us." Oh. Okay. As far as the drugs I may or may not have done while blacked out on Night Train, I'm not trying to be a goody-goody here. I did plenty of drugs later on in my life, but at that time I had not willingly ingested any. Things were getting very dark in Hollywood at that point, darker than before. Heroin was becoming more prominent, creeping in and seducing people who were depressed about their lives for one reason or another. The party was pretty much over, and we all knew it. Even my days were numbered, and the countdown was on.